This is Murder in the Morning with Tony Bruschi and Stacey Cole.
It's Stacey Cole and Carol Hughes. Carol filling in for Tony this week. We've got so many weird, wacky stories to talk about. This one, I think you're a little bit fascinated with this one, aren't you?
I find it interesting because it has two sides to it. You know, a lot of times in these stories, there's clearly a guilty party and clearly the victim. And this one, definitely there is a victim, definitely a guilty party, but there's some nuances in it that are pretty significant. And so I don't know. I don't know where I fall on this story. I see both sides.
Well, and that's an interesting take on it. We'll dive right into it. The widow of a retired Ohio sheriff's deputy has filed a civil lawsuit against the family of the man accused of killing her husband, accusing them of profiting off of his alleged crime through online fundraisers. Rodney Hinton Jr., 38, is currently in the Clermont County Jail, charged with aggravated murder for the May 2nd, 2024 death of Larry Henderson, a 57-year-old retired Hamilton County Sheriff's deputy who was working a special duty traffic detail during the University of Cincinnati's commencement ceremonies. Authorities say that Hinton deliberately accelerated his Ford Focus and struck Henderson from behind while he was directing traffic at an intersection. Surveillance footage shows that Hinton turning around after initially driving past Henderson, circling back, and intentionally aiming the vehicle at the deputy. Henderson was thrown several feet and suffered fatal injuries. He was pronounced dead shortly after being transported to the hospital. Police say the attack appeared to be motivated by rage and grief, as just one day earlier, Hinton's 26-year-old son Ryan was shot and killed by a Cincinnati police officer during an altercation. According to the Cincinnati Police Department, Ryan Hinton was involved in a domestic violence situation and allegedly charged at officers with a knife, there's that knife again, before being fatally shot. Body camera footage was shown to Rodney Hinton.
The dad, Rodney.
Okay, shortly after the incident, and his defense attorney has since claimed that seeing the video triggered a psychotic break. There we go. Prosecutors, however, allege that Hinton acted with intent, describing the incident as a targeted and deliberate attack on law enforcement. They charged him with aggravated murder, felonious assault, and vehicular homicide. At his arraignment, prosecutors noted the calculated nature of the attack and emphasized that Henderson had no connection to the officer who shot Ryan. Following Hinton's arrest, members of his family created crowdfunding campaigns on platforms including GoFundMe and GiveSendGo to raise money for legal expenses and family support. Those fundraisers were met with swift backlash from law enforcement officials and political officials who condemned them as an exploitation of a tragic crime. Both platforms ultimately removed the campaigns after public outcry. On July 14th, 2025, Henderson's widow filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Rodney Hinton and several of his family members. The lawsuit claims that the fundraisers amassed over $100,000 and that the family capitalized on Hinton's public status and notoriety gained solely through his criminal act of killing Deputy Henderson. The suit accuses Hinton's family of engaging in a malicious civil conspiracy and argues that while Ohio's Son of Sam laws prevents criminals from directly profiting from their crimes through such as through a book or movie deals, current state statutes do not cover fundraising by a suspect's relatives, creating what the lawsuit describes as a legal loophole. The complaint demands that all funds raised by the family be turned over to the Henderson estate and seeks both compensatory and punitive damages. It's also holding Hinton civilly liable for Henderson's death, citing deliberate, intentional, and malicious acts. Hinton has Hinton has pleaded not guilty and remains in custody without bond. His trial is expected to raise questions about criminal intent and mental health, with his defense focused on the alleged psychological impact of his son's death and the video footage he was shown shortly before the fatal incident. And meanwhile, the Henderson family continues to mourn the loss of a veteran officer who served Hamilton County for over 30 years. He was described as deeply respected and devoted to the safety of his community.
Okay, so Hinton needs to be held accountable. He killed him, period. That I don't, he's going to end up in jail for all of that. And he should be. Because what he did was horrific and traumatizing because, there was people around. And he did it. There does seem to be intent. But where I get fuzzy on this one is that I think just seeing video of his son being killed triggered it. I think he snapped. Mm-hmm. This is another case where I don't think, a week prior, I don't know what this guy was like before his son was killed. And his son, I don't know what that episode, how that all escalated either. I don't know what his son was doing exactly. But to see that, I think I would snap too. And then he left there and sees this innocent guy who's just directing traffic, and he snapped. Had that guy not been there, I don't know if he would have gone and found another officer. Maybe he would have. I don't know. But the whole thing should the family not be allowed to do a crowdfunding platform because of, I don't know how I feel about it. Yeah, I get where I get where the officer's family is coming from. I get that. But then I'm like, I have sympathy for this guy in a weird way. What he did was horrific though, but he just had seen video of his son being killed, which would change you. Like, I could see how you would go into a psychotic break. You know what I mean? I just don't, the whole thing is tragic all the way around. I get where the officer's family's like, you shouldn't be raising any money off of this. He killed him intentionally. He hit him with his car, turned around, did it again. So should he be making money off of that? They do they do provide you an attorney. Does the family, and maybe if the family had raised $5,000, this wouldn't be an issue. But if they have raised $100,000, that's a lot of money.
That's a substantial amount of money, actually.
And so, there are other laws where you can't profit from books or movies, and I believe in that. This, I would think, falls under that. Mm-hmm. They are profiting off of. So I get where this family's coming from. Maybe the right thing to do is like, dang, we got a lot of money. This is, he's got other kids. Can we put some of this money to help the other kids? I don't know. It's just, when I came across this story, I'm like, I can't figure out how I feel about this because I feel bad for the guy seeing his son murdered.
Yeah.
I feel horrifically bad for this poor family whose loved one was murdered by this guy, who snapped. And I just have the feeling he wasn't planning on doing that. It was just all of a sudden in front of him and he did it.
He just lost it. Mm-hmm. This is extensive grief. This is a mental breakdown. These things happen. Is it right? No. No,
he needs to go to jail for this, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah. I don't know where but I understand. I understand, because a lot of times these fundraisers are done to help with expenses, to help with, child care and all the things that go with that. So I don't know what the family was exactly planning on using the money for. Maybe it was to raise money for his defense, that they didn't think the court-appointed attorney would be enough for him. I don't know. I don't know. But if I was the other victim's family and going, he just killed him and you just made $100,000, are you serious? I think I would feel quite indignant. Yeah.
It just has an ugly feel to it. It doesn't mean that they're out to do something bad. It just means it just doesn't, it's not sitting right.
Yeah. So it's
That's
just
okay.
I just don't know how I feel about it.
No.
What do you think?
I'm really torn because I think this family has the right to financial help. Their lives have been turned upside down. They didn't do this.
Right. And I'm assuming he has other kids.
I think so.
And it doesn't say. But there would be, and he might have been the breadwinner for the family. And
Exactly. So what are they supposed to do? What happens when your breadwinner is gone? What if they didn't have life insurance? What do you do? What do you do?
Yeah.
That's my big question.
And life insurance isn't going to help them in this case anyway, because he's going to prison.
Right.
The whole
So
thing.
suddenly
the whole thing.
you're down a breadwinner.
Yeah.
How do you survive?
Exactly.
So,
But then you shouldn't be able to profit off of a murder. Because really, I don't think it was intentional. I don't think there was premeditation. I should say that. I don't think he premeditated it. At the time, I do think it was intentional since he turned around and came back. I don't know. We'll have to follow this and see where it goes.
I think we should.
You're locked into the Hidden Killers podcast.
Want more? Start binging on all of our true crime podcasts right now through Apple Podcasts and get an ad-free experience when you sign up to be a True Crime Today Premium Plus member exclusively on Apple Podcasts.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast dropping soon.
Press subscribe now.